It is the shortest flight I think I've ever been on. It was maybe like 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
We like
That's a Detroit from Detroit to Cleveland.
No, it was like shorter than that.
Really?
Like it was like we took off. We probably had 5 minutes in the air. It was enough time for the flight attendants to give us a quick cookie and then collect all the garbage. So maybe we were 10 minutes.
That wasn't Ryanair then.
10 minutes. No, it was a GNair.
Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Chris.
I'm Kat.
And this is episode number 247.
And looking back at these episodes, it's been over 2 years since we did the first time around.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like late spring, early summer, I feel like, of 2021. Because even part of our rules for it was like, oh, there's no more like COVID restrictions and things. Because at the time there were.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking about how I was planning to go to France in September. And I remember back then I needed the pass sanitaire and all that stuff to get into France.
Yes. Did that happen?
Yeah. Remember I spent 2 weeks in France? In 2021?
You know, you live half the year in France, so
okay.
I cannot recall.
That was kind of what started France Voyager. Like that was like the trip that I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this into a blog.
That way I can live here for half the year.
Okay. I don't think that I can legally do that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, you do not live there for half
Disclaimer, I do not
year.
live there for half of the year. I maybe
the majority of the year.
No, I maybe spend about a month total in France a year.
Yes.
Probably next year it'll be closer to 2 months. But I can spend up to 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, that's like legally I'm allowed to spend up to 3.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Legally. That's what I'm saying.
Was
it's like 90 days is good, and then after that you need a visa.
It sounded like you.
Yeah.
Is that per year or just at once?
I think it's like 90 days out of every 180 days.
Not actual advice there.
No, No, this is not actual.
When you were
advice.
I
think you can do like January through March or something, and then you have to leave.
Okay.
And then you could maybe come back then I think you have to leave for 6 months, and then you can come back at like the very end of the year. Like I think there has to be like a 6-month gap between a 3-month stay. I don't know. I never have to worry about that really because I'm only there for like 1 to 2 months a year. So, and not even at a consecutive time of the year. So it's not like I'm staying there for that long, like just straight. So it's not really an issue because I'm allowed to stay, I think, up to 90 days.
Okay.
So, yeah. As just a person traveling there for whatever.
Fair enough.
I believe, yeah.
When you said, like, you're cut off at 90 days, it sounded like that was, like, your own personal thing. Like, you looked at yourself in the mirror and you were like, you know what? No more.
No. No, I just legally cannot stay there.
That's wild, though, that... It's wild that like you or we recorded these like over 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I really like playing this game.
I know. It's a lot of fun. And it's nice now that things are easier for travel.
Yeah, that's true.
For a lot of these destinations, you know, you don't have to like have the pass sanitaire to get into France. You don't have to take tests to get into Costa Rica. You know, those sorts of things that made it a lot more challenging back in 2021. Which that's why we only went to Costa Rica and Belize.
Yeah.
As far as international travel that year. We also went to like Glacier National Park and like places in the United States. But yeah, that was when we started dipping our toes into travel again after 2020. Yeah.
Do you have a highlight over the past, 48, 72 hours?
Honestly, I think just Professor being adorable. Our cat. I mean, we haven't really, all I've done has been working. I am in the thick of updating old posts, which is something I do like twice a year, is like go through and update either posts that really need to be updated that could possibly rank on Google if I gave them a good update, and then posts that I have to update pretty much every 6 months so they do continue to do well on Google. And yeah, I'm in the thick of it. I had to update 2 blog posts that I have not updated since 2019. And so I had a lot to update today. I was a bit ambitious with today, I think. I'm going through a lot of my Southeast Asia content at the moment. That a lot of that stuff hasn't been worked on since like 2019 when I first published it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
anything closed that we loved?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
What?
So Home Bar, I think, is temporarily closed. I don't know. He just kind of opens and closes it at at his whim.
Yeah.
But there was like a couple places we got like cocktails on, like on Colipe or 8 at that were like closed.
What places?
Sea La Vie Resort. It was the one with the boat.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that one closed.
I think we just got cocktails.
Yeah,
there.
we just got drinks there and like
the resort closed, or did it like get renamed or something?
I think that's just a bar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A couple hotels too that I was like, when I was looking up hotels on Sunset Beach, there's only like 2 left and there used to be a little bit more. So I had to fix all of that. So basically I just
Our
go
resort
through
didn't close, did it?
No. A lot of the places were still open, which was good.
Did that Indian restaurant, is that
no,
still open?
No, that's still there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hold on, what?
Yeah, it's still
You were
there.
like, no,
oh,
that's still there.
I thought you said did it close? And I was gonna be like, no, that's still there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then I updated that one. And so I did Colipe and Halong Bay, a Halong Bay cruise. And they changed it's the same stuff that you get to see on the cruise, on the one we went on. It's just a different, like, order. So I had to change that on the, like, to make sure that was accurate and stuff too. So I was updating Halong Bay and
fair enough.
Not Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai I did over the summer. And then Colipe. I still have to do Siem Reap. I've already done Hanoi.
Cool.
So, yeah, I always update Southeast Asia, like the 3-week itinerary, because that one does really well.
Awesome.
But yeah. So it's been a lot of work. But anyway, my highlight has been Professor, because he's an adorable little kitten. Christopher is petting him now as he's like on the bed next to where we record and in our guest bedroom. And yes, yesterday morning he has like this little like Chuck E. Cheese mouse rat thing that like a little stuffed one that Christopher got as a child. And he carries it around after his breakfast, and I caught him in the act because sometimes you just kind of find Chuck all over the place. I caught him in the act as he was carrying it around, and he's like meowing and like just like playing with it, and it was really cute. But I don't know. That's pretty much been my highlight because I haven't really gone anywhere in the last couple of days. I've just been kind of hanging out and updating a lot of old posts.
Fair enough. My highlight was that I found a pretty killer beans and rice recipe.
Yeah.
I have like slowly been working on perfecting my beans and rice over the years, and I think I have it. So that's my highlight. Very simple, but very useful. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Alrighty. So we are going to continue our series of 2 more weeks on a continent.
We're back.
So as Kat alluded to in episodes number 114 through 119, we talked about if you have it's like a dream trip, you're going to go to a certain continent, you have 2 weeks to spend there, you don't know if you're going to go back, how would you spend those 2 weeks? Now we're going back.
Yep.
So the first time around, we talked about 2 weeks in Europe in episode number 116. Now we are talking about 2 more weeks in Europe.
What would we do if we had 2 more weeks on top of the 2 weeks that coming back to Europe, I suppose?
Yes, and I believe it is your turn to go first.
Yes.
What did you do last time around? What was your 2-week itinerary the first time around?
So my first time around, I did days 1 through 3 in London. Just exploring the sights of London, Tower of London, Tower Bridge, Borough Market, Buckingham Palace, Westminster, all that good stuff. Then on day 4, taking the Eurostar, like the Channel train to Paris, and then staying in Paris on days 4, 5, 6, and 7 with a day trip to the Loire Valley one of those days. Visiting the museums, taking in the sights and sounds of Paris, all that good stuff. Then day 8 is going to Munich. Day 9 is Munich, taking a day trip to like Neuschwanstein and all that area for the castles. And then day 10 is also in Munich. So you can check out the like Hofbrauhaus and all the cool things in Munich. And then day 11 and 12 are Budapest. Quick trip to Budapest. Check out the bathhouses, the ruin bars, the Parliament building, Fisherman's Bastion, all that cool stuff. And then days 13 and 14 are in Porto, Portugal, where you might take a day trip if you have the time and energy over to the Douro Valley and cruise along that for the port wine, and then exploring Porto. So
awesome.
Yeah, that was my 2-week trip was London, Paris, Munich, Budapest and Porto.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a big one.
It was.
Yeah.
And then 3 things that we generally will do are, if it's too quick, drop one. What was your biggest snub? And then what was your biggest regret? So what did you say the first time around that you would have dropped from that itinerary if you wanted to slow it down a little bit?
I think I would have taken out, because I have 4 days in Paris, I would have taken out the day trip to Paris.
Okay.
And then maybe the 2 days in Budapest.
The day trip to Paris. You mean the day trip to Loire?
Oh, sorry. Yes, the day trip
Okay.
to the Loire, and then the 2 days we have in Budapest.
And what would you have extended?
I think I put in that I would spend like days, the last 4 days of the trip, instead of Budapest, I would move Munich up and then add in few days in Porto, and then some time in Lisbon before flying home.
Cool.
So just staying in Portugal.
What was your snub? What was like that destination that was right there, but you couldn't fit it in?
I wanted to add in a Nordic country, and I really love Copenhagen, so I'm sad I didn't get to go to Copenhagen in this itinerary. Also, Greece and Italy or any of the Mediterranean would have been great.
Okay. And then what was your regret? Like you didn't quite get there, but it would be cool to include it next time.
I think any of the Mediterranean, where you have the beaches and places like that. So that was my biggest regret, as well as Copenhagen.
Cool.
But mostly beaches. All right. Should I get into this time around's itinerary?
Go for it.
Okay. All right. So my approach this time around was to kind of remedy the situation that I didn't get to include last time. So that's going to include a lot of those destinations here. But also I wanted to include, I wanted to slow it down a little bit because we kind of went all over the place. I think, how many countries did I go to in the first one? I went to I went to 5 countries in the first one, and like several destinations. It was a lot. I think it's a great idea if you only have 2 weeks and you're not sure you're going to go back. I think that's a good feel for Europe, or at least Western Europe. But this time around, we're going back. We're going to explore some really cool places, and we're only going to 3 countries.
Okay.
So really, and honestly, the majority of this trip is in 1 country.
Oh, wow.
So really, I'm really excited about this itinerary, but I'll get started. So day 1, you're in Copenhagen.
Okay.
And actually days 1 and 2, you will be in Copenhagen.
Okay.
I love Copenhagen. It is a beautiful city. It's on the water. I mean, it's kind of interspersed throughout the water. I love Nyhavn, which is where they have the beautiful, colorful harbor. You've got the Church of Our Savior that has the fun corkscrew spire. The Gardens of Tivoli, which is an amusement park. There's Noma, the best restaurant in the world that you can go, and they have a great food scene here. There's lots of opportunities to rent a bike and just go biking throughout the city. It's a very bike-friendly place. There's also palaces like Rosenborg Palace and Christianberg Palace, different places that you can go and check out. But the architecture is really cool. The food is really good. The bar scene is great. And then you have places like Tivoli in the middle of the city where you can go and have a fun day at an amusement park. So lots and lots to do and lots of options for your 2 days in Copenhagen. So days 1 and 2 are Copenhagen. Day 3, you're going to take a 2.5-hour flight to Rome.
Okay.
Yes. So I wanted to add Italy to this area. Oh, and also in Copenhagen, I forgot to talk about that like independent neighborhood, Christiania, that I talked about.
Oh,
Christiania,
yeah.
That has it's like the hippie commune neighborhood, sort of independent from the city. Anyway,
I will say
another option in Copenhagen if you're there.
The older I get, the more I identify with the whole hippie commune thing.
Okay.
I do.
All right. So days 1 and 2 are Copenhagen. Day 3, you're in Rome. And you're also going to be in Rome on days 4 and 5.
Okay.
So in Rome, obviously tons of great food, fantastic neighborhoods. You've got Roma Sparita, which is one of the best places for cacio e pepe.
Yep.
You've got the Trevi Fountain, the Roman Forum, the Colosseum, Piazza Navona. Just lots of cool things to check out while you're in Rome. And then also on your last day in Rome, I actually recommend going to the Vatican. So I guess that is another country.
Yeah.
So maybe this is 4 countries instead of 3.
Okay.
But yes, so yeah, day 5, head to the Vatican for the day and explore the Vatican museums and St. Paul's Cathedral and stuff like that. All right, day 6 is kind of a travel day.
Hold on.
Yeah, what?
You said that you have 4 countries total, including the Vatican.
Yeah.
And we've covered 3 in 6 days.
The rest of this itinerary is in one place.
you're going amongst the Grecian islands.
Yes.
Knew it. All right.
So day 6 is mostly a travel day. It could take around 7 hours to get here, but you're flying to the Greek islands and you're going to go see a couple different types of Greek islands while you're here. But this one is all the way to Zakynthos, which this is a beautiful island with lots of beautiful beaches. It's really well known for Shipwreck Beach. Great places for snorkeling and diving and boat tours and cliffs. Obviously great tavernas and places to eat. There's some caves and beaches. There's even an old Venetian castle. And just really beautiful old towns throughout the city. So this is not going to be Zakynthos. You get there on day 6. You have day 7, 8, and 9 on Zakynthos to explore the island because there's a lot to see and do around the island. And it's also a great place to relax and just enjoy the beach if you want to. But this is a different type of island. It is not like this. Is it the Cycladic Islands where Santorini, Mykonos, where they have the whitewashed buildings and the blue dome roofs and things. This is a different set of islands. So it's going to look a little bit different, but you're still going to get the classic delicious Greek food. You're going to get fresh seafood. You're going to have the beautiful beaches and beautiful little old towns. So day 7, 8, and 9, you're in Zakynthos. And then day 10, you are flying 3 hours to Santorini. And so you are going to get that classic, I feel like if you've never been to Greece, Santorini certainly needs to be on the list. You're going to spend days 10, 11, and 12 in Santorini. And you can go cruising around the islands, visiting the caldera, which is the big volcano in the middle. I mean, the whole thing is the caldera, but you can visit the volcano in the middle, watch the sunset in Ia, stay in a fancy hotel that overlooks the caldera if you want to. There's Black Sand Beach. There's a Black Sand Beach in Parissa. There's the Red Beach. You can go on a wine tour because this area is known for growing wine. There's also ruins on the island to check out and just admiring the beautiful whitewashed buildings and the domed roofs, the blue domed roofs. It's a stunning island. I will say that Ia is incredibly crowded. The last time I went to Santorini, stayed on the Black Sand Beach on the other side of the island called Parissa. And it's far less crowded there. It's beautiful. The beach is beautiful. You can have a beach chair for the day and stuff too. But Santorini, if you want to, you can stay on Ia, but I would recommend just splurging for a nicer hotel that overlooks the caldera and maybe spending a lot of time around there and or checking out the other places on the island because Ia can be very, very crowded at times. And make reservations in advance because of that. Day 13, you're going to hop on from Santorini. You're going to hop on a quick flight to Athens. And it's less than an hour flight. I have done this flight from Mykonos and it is the shortest flight I think I've ever been on. It was maybe 20 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
That's
a Detroit from Detroit to Cleveland.
No, it was shorter than that.
Really?
It was we took off. We probably had 5 minutes in the air. It was enough time for the flight attendants to give us a quick cookie and then collect all the garbage. So maybe we were 10 minutes.
That wasn't Ryanair then.
10 minutes. No, it was a Air.
Okay.
It was much nicer. And then we landed. It was the fastest thing. But you're going to go to Athens. And you're going to spend days 13 and 14 in Athens. And Athens is such a cool place. I mean, I think a lot of people... I don't know if people, when you think of Rome and Athens, they have to be pretty similar, right? They are extremely different. There's so many wonderful, old ruins and things in Athens, just all over the city. It's a very hilly city as well. So you've got the Acropolis that's on top of the big hill that you can see from many places in the city, which is cool. I highly recommend going up there and checking out all of the temples that are up there. You can also check out the Olympic Stadium, the old Olympic Stadium. There's also a little museum about the Olympics as well. There's some cool neighborhoods to check out, like the Plaka area, which was the old it's a historic neighborhood, and it looks very historic as well. The Monastiraki area that's known for the market that it has. Visit the Acropolis Museum and see some cool stuff. There's Hadrian's Arch. And then Byzantine, and there's a Byzantine and Christian museum, and there's also a pretty mountain that you can climb up to that has a Byzantine church on the top too. So really cool stuff to see and do in Athens. And then you've got lots of great food because it is a bigger city. So I think it's a really cool city. I think it's definitely worth checking out, and then you can fly home from Athens.
Okay.
So to recap the whole itinerary, you have days 1 and 2 in Copenhagen, 3, 4, and 5 in Rome / spending one of those days at the Vatican. Day 6 is a travel day to Zakynthos. Day 7, 8, and 9 is Zakynthos. Day 10, 11, and 12 is Santorini. And days 13 and 14 are in Athens.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so pretty Greek heavy trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel like if you're going to go to the Greek islands, you're going to need to take your time a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Because you want
mean.
to see more than just one. Like,
Right.
I wanted you to see Santorini because it's the one that everyone wants to see. But at the same time, you want to go somewhere that's not as crowded.
Sure. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Zakynthos was a good option for that.
So I do have a question for you. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I've been to Rome, obviously, with you.
Yeah.
I have not been to Athens.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that comparison before, that like I feel like Rome often gets compared to either Paris or Athens.
And I would say that Rome is more similar to Athens than Paris, just because of the old architecture, like the old...
Rome is more similar to Athens than Rome is similar to Paris.
Yes, but they are very different. I mean, obviously you have more Roman ruins than Greek ruins. And I honestly feel like in Athens, yeah, there's much more intact Roman temples and old like Byzantine churches, and like you get like the Byzantine empire as well of a flair in Athens that you don't necessarily get in Rome. Where Rome, it's like Roman stuff and then the Renaissance and like
which did you like more, Rome or Athens?
I think Rome.
And why was it Rome?
Okay. I really liked Rome because I do love Italian food and stuff, but Rome, I just really like the different neighborhoods in Rome a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was really cool. But Athens is epic. I really enjoyed it.
Sweet.
Because I've been a couple times and it's a cool place to check out and walk around. It's a pretty walkable city. If you're going to visit like the main parts of the city, it's a pretty walkable city.
Nice.
Yeah.
If someone thinks that it's too fast, what are you dropping?
Oh, I think we do you first.
Oh,
and then we
okay.
go through and do that at the end.
We can do that. That's absolutely fine. So my first time around, I'll be honest with you. I read through this, and I was exhausted just reading through mine.
Yeah.
So I started in Bruges in Belgium. Mm-hmm. Then I went to Paris. Then I went to Milan with a day trip to Piedmont.
And now, having been to Piedmont, would you do that just a day trip?
No. I would do Piedmont instead of Milan.
Yeah.
Like land in Milan, but get your tuchus to Piedmont.
Yeah, because Piedmont is cool.
Then going to Barcelona, then going to Porto.
Mm-hmm.
So it was jam-packed.
Mm-hmm.
I had said that if it were too quick for someone, I would have dropped Porto. Ireland was my biggest snub. And I don't necessarily know what I was thinking there.
I mean, Ireland's cool.
No, I know, but it's not necessarily like right
Poor
near...
Ireland over here.
No. I meant it because like it wasn't like Ireland like borders any of these that like, oh, like I'm right here. I could have just like gone there. You know what I mean?
And I think it's funny that Ireland over London, because you don't even have London in
I don't have London in
there.
there. Right? And then my regret though was that I didn't include the UK, London, Scotland, Ireland. I didn't include Eastern Europe, and I didn't include any Nordic countries. So it sounds like I had just as many areas of regret than I did with areas that I included in my first time around.
Yeah.
So this time around, I have...
What's your approach?
Well, my approach was, number one, to be a little bit slower. Mm-hmm. A little bit more lackadaisical. Maybe I'm just getting old. But I will also say, and get this, you are not taking a train at all in mine. In my new itinerary.
I was going to say mine are only flights. Even though you could take a ferry around Greece, it just takes so much more time to
mine
get
are
around.
Only flights
so
as well.
So they have to, and like Zakynthos and Santorini have airports. So
yeah,
I would just take those.
So I wanted to be a little bit slower. I did return to a country that I had in the previous one. So it wasn't all about like scratching off more countries on the scratch off map sort of ideology here. It was more of a, okay, what am I going to do? Like if I go back. So I can go ahead and get started here.
Yeah.
Days 1 through 4, you are going to spend in the same location, and that is London. So you're gonna
look at you.
Yeah, you're going to start.
Now you're including it.
I am including it. Yeah, it was.
No Ireland though.
Well, let me just.
Okay.
Okay. Starting in London. I mean, you mentioned it. It was a part of your first 2-week itinerary. And I mean, number one, you have the opportunity to see an EPL game, which, like, to me would, do it.
Tater tots.
That's not what they're called. But yeah, I think that would be cool first and foremost. But you also have, I mean, everything there, right? Like Westminster Abbey, Buckingham Palace. You have Big Ben. You have the Natural History Museum. You have Borough Market. You have the Tower of London. I mean, St. Paul's Cathedral. The list goes on and on and on. And being able to spend 4 days in London, I feel like you'll really get to kind of immerse yourself, check out the different areas of London, and really get to leave with a good taste of what the city has to offer. Day 5, you are traveling to your second destination, and you're going to be there from days 5 through 7. So I have 4 places that we're visiting here. 2 are for 4 days, 2 are for 3 days. Okay. This is so London was the first of the 4. This is the first of the 3, and that is Prague.
Oh, so you're flying across or not across, but you're flying to Central Europe. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. So you're going from London to Prague, and you'll have probably about 2.5 days in Prague once you get there. But here, I mean, you'll be able to enjoy Prague Castle, Old Town Square, Charles Bridge, just all of the astronomical clock. I loved Prague.
It's a beautiful city.
It is so gorgeous. I mean, the amount of times that we walked across Charles Bridge, and I don't think I ever was able to make it from one side to the other without just stopping and looking around. It's just an incredible city. We had a wonderful food tour there that we talk about all about in our Prague episode. And we do have a really deep dive on Prague. We went there for some Christmas markets and then just to see the sights back in 2019. So that's the end of week 1. Nice. It splits up nicely into 4 and 3 and London and Prague. The start of week 2, this is the second of the 4 days, or the 4-day cities. Can you guess? This is a country we're returning to. And in the first...
Like from your first itinerary?
From my first itinerary. So Belgium, France, Italy, Spain, or Portugal.
I feel like we're going back to Italy.
Okay. And where do you think we're going in Italy, if that's even correct?
Rome.
We're going to Rome.
I was going to say, because we only went to Piedmont in the last one.
Milan and Piedmont, yeah. So yes, we are spending 4 days in Rome, probably 3.5 again once you get there and all of that kind of stuff. But again, not to repeat what you said, but it really was more about culture and dining and that sort of thing. Colosseum, Roman Forum, the Pantheon, and then I also have built in here to spend a day in Vatican City. Not only the Vatican museums, but also St. Peter's Basilica, which
I said St. Paul's Cathedral when I was talking about the Vatican.
Oh, did you? I didn't even catch that. I believe it's St. Peter's Basilica.
It is
it not? I
thought
so.
Yes, it is. I don't know where. I'm like, St. Paul's Cathedral. That's in London.
Yeah, it is in London. I mentioned it in London. But yeah, St. Peter's Basilica. That is something, unfortunately, we did not get to do.
Yes, because the line was like 3 hours long, and it was like 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside.
It was pretty wild.
And I was absolutely not.
Okay, here's my St. Paul's Cathedral moment. Why can't I think of the Vatican museums and
Sistine Chapel.
Thank you. The Sistine Chapel, for goodness sake. This is my old age.
Just helping each other out here.
Yeah, this is wonderful. But yeah, I mean, I would plan to spend an entire day in Vatican so that you could see the Vatican museums, the Sistine Chapel, and St. Peter's Basilica, really get a taste for all of that. And then obviously, I mean, we walked there. So it's not bad. And you already gave a shout out to Roma Spirita, so.
Also, the public transportation is not great in
No,
Rome, so
it
you
is
pretty
not.
much do need to walk everywhere.
Yeah, but it was a very enjoyable walk, I will say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those 4 days are in Rome, and then the last 3 days, I am ending where you ended, in Athens.
Whoop. Oh, so you're not going to Greece, like the islands?
I am not going to the islands.
Because you asked me about, can you take the ferry between islands and Greece? And I was like, oh yeah, you can. It just takes longer.
I was trying to throw you off.
Okay.
But yeah, the last 3 days, probably 2.5 by the time you get there, are going to be in Athens. And this, again, like I approached this one more from a cultural and a historical perspective. And I mean, to be in Europe, especially if it's your second 2-week trip there, and not to go to Athens and see the Acropolis and see Parthenon and all, I mean, just the whole thing, right? All of the history there. You mentioned the fantastic food. I have not been to Athens, but I was having fun looking at different food tours in Athens, and boy, do those look good.
Yeah.
So
you have to go to a rooftop bar in Athens at night because you get to see they light up the Acropolis at night.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's so cool.
That's really cool.
It's epic. Yeah.
Okay, so just to recap, first 4 days are in London, next 3 are in Prague, next 4 are in Rome, and the last 3 are in Athens.
Nice.
If someone is looking at your trip and says it's too quick, I need to drop something, what are you dropping?
I mean, I do not think mine is that quick. You're spending you're basically spending 9 days in Greece during this trip, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Okay, 8 days in Greece, but like 1 day traveling there. So you're getting a lot of time on the Greek islands, and I think that's a good amount of time on them. But I guess if I had to, I'd probably have to get rid of Copenhagen because I feel like going to Rome and then Greece would be a lot easier than like flying all the way from Copenhagen, and it is a quick trip of only 2 days. So I don't know. If I had to, I would do that. But I also feel like this is a pretty good paced trip. Like it's a little fast in the beginning, but then you're on island time for like a long time after that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I said that I would drop Athens.
Yeah.
So, and really, I would just add an extra day in London, an extra day in Prague, and an extra day in Rome.
That makes sense.
So yeah, that was kind of an easier decision for me. I was going back and forth between Athens and Prague, but I mean, I've never been to Athens. I have been to Prague, and Prague was a vibe.
It's a vibe.
So,
okay, what was your biggest snub?
I said it before, and I will say it again: Ireland. Like I was right there. I was between including Dublin or Athens, and I was going to either start in Dublin, then go to London, then go to Prague, then go to Rome.
Well, because we're having a 2-week trip next year of just
we are
like we're going to London, and then then up to Scotland for 5 days, and then like Ireland for 4 days. Yeah. I
mean,
so we're almost spending a full 2 weeks just in like the British Isles. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I mean, it's right there. And I was like, man, but for whatever reason, I mean, Athens ended up winning in my mind over Ireland. Maybe that'll change when we go. But I would say that that's my biggest snub. And I think it makes sense this time around because it's I mean,
no beach time.
It's close to London. No beach time.
I mean, I guess Athens has a beach.
I just gave the people 2 weeks in North America that was full of beach time.
Okay.
I mean, what do they want?
I will say Athens does have a beach. It's not a great beach. It's not the beach you picture when you think of the Greek islands. It's like dirty and it's a city beach. I mean, it's outside the city. You take like a tram to get to it, but it's not. Because I stayed in Athens, I want to say for like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
And I like really explored hard the first couple of days. And then like after that, I met some people at the hostel and I was like, I've seen a lot of stuff. It's really hot here. And we just we're like, let's go to the beach. And
nice.
It wasn't great, but it was a place to cool off.
Okay. What was your snub?
My snub, I'm going to go with like Central and Eastern Europe, or even places like Prague, Austria, Switzerland. Those have been neat. But also places in Eastern Europe like Poland and things like that. Latvia, Estonia.
Okay.
Or like those are my biggest snubs, I would say.
Biggest regret.
I wish there was more time in Italy.
Okay.
I think there's a lot to see and do in Italy besides just Rome. I mean, we've done that and we had a great time. And also more mountains. We got a lot of beaches this time. Maybe the next time around it'll include more mountains. That's where Austria and Switzerland and places will come into play, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote down that my biggest regret was not including Iceland.
It's just so far from everywhere.
It is, but I'm actually going to amend mine because now that I'm looking at my first itinerary and my second, I do not go to Germany.
Oh, see, I went to Munich the first time around. I haven't gone to Spain on any of mine, so that's also another snub.
There you go. There you go. It is tough. I do like this game, though.
Yeah.
I do think it's a lot of fun.
And I do think these itineraries, like 2 weeks in Europe, like that is a very, like when a lot of people say they're going to Europe, or at least Americans do, because they tend to go to a lot of different places in Europe. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to Europe and I'm spending a week in Paris. It's like,
right.
I'm going to Europe and I'm going to Paris and Lisbon and,
yeah,
Rome and all these places. So it's all these different places.
Doing it all.
Yeah. So like, I think this is always a much more, and also the infrastructure to get around Europe is so much easier, like trains, planes, ferries, buses. I mean, there's so many ways to get around that it's actually, this seems like always a pretty doable itinerary whenever we do the Europe ones versus like getting all the way across.
Africa.
Yeah. Instead of going
Asia.
all the way from the bottom of Africa to the top of Africa, or like all the way across Asia or something.
Yeah.
Or even North America or South America.
Sure.
Those are always a little bit more challenging because you have days where you're just traveling.
I agree.
Because they're just so spread apart. But anyway, that is how we would spend 2 more weeks in Europe. So on episode number 3 here, and our 2 more weeks on a continent. But let us know your thoughts. How would you spend 2 extra weeks in Europe if you had it? You can always let us know by reaching out on social media at Worldwide Honeymoon, except for X, and that is WWHoneymoon, or emailing Kat at worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.